it's going to just be about what you do. It doesn't have any, I may be a film guy, but that doesn't, it's what you're focused on. Music, metaverse, chef, being a chef. You have a lot of stuff that you focus on. So I don't want to, no more me, we're not here for me. Let's start right down here. Joseph, would you please, just brief intro, what you do in a creative process and what that looks like, just for a few minutes. Give us a taste of who you are and how you embody creativity in that. So, no more Dave, Joseph.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Joseph Clarke. I am the president of Soundpark, a sister company, Viewpark. We finance film, documentaries, TV, entertainment, media. Soundpark represents the sound aspect of that process, so we handle soundtracks, scoring, just everything dealing with the sound. And as I mentioned earlier, I see a lot of faces from earlier. I was an artist as well, so I'm gonna hand it down to Micheal.
Oh, actually, because of the time constraints, keep it for a second.
Okay.
So here's what I'd like you to do. Talk about, as you're running Soundpark, as you're dealing with artists, you're an artist yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about working with that creativity, because you're a creative, you're an artist,
Mm-hmm.
you're working with artists. Talk about the process of how do you manage that, because you always seem cool and collected, you don't get upset. Talk about that process.
Well, I apply empathy. I don't even call them my artists, so they're not my artists, they're artist partners. We partner with artists and we,
Sorry, dude.
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's like empathy, just you want to control your IP. You want to have
Intellectual property, just
intellectual property. You want your songs to be, still owned by you. You wrote it, you created it. As a business, we always take the minority share. We try to act as a supportive component to your career. As far as creative, the artists, they do their thing.
when they're having a moment, how do you help them find a center before they make a rash decision?
Well, I try to set the tone. I try to listen to them and allow them to express themselves instead of directing them and having them do what I need for them to do. I just listen and try to have an interactive engagement with them. It's very important as an artist that you're heard. And I just have a way of being able to kind of shape their mind back toward a rational perspective. Empathy helps, when they know that you have gone through it, it's easier to communicate that to them, and they appreciate that so far.
Thank you. Could you hand it to AJ? So AJ, we don't have much time, so we're going to get into the intro and into your piece of it. So AJ is an amazing person. He's creative in his own way. Tech, he works in the tech industry. He works in independent film. He works in different, VR now. All right, so.
I work for James Cole.
Oh, no. It's a joint venture.
Yeah.
But you know what? So we've already had, we've had music, we have film. I actually want to focus a little bit on tech. You're creative, you shape, curate, manage, promote some tech companies. Just thinking of creativity and how you manifest that in the process of between evaluation, personnel and all that. Just if you could, just real quick intro and just talk about the creativity that is required of you and what you employ as you are working in the tech space.
Yeah, so my name's AJ, I'm the founder of a company called Misfit. So in our ventures work, are you talking about just like tech investment?
Yeah. Well, like we've handled movies and TV and VR. I don't know if we do VR, but But I'm interested, talk about tech, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about, as an investor, you know, we just source different startups that are, you know, startups come to us for early stage capital. So James and I, we typically invest at like pre-seed. So some of the companies that we've invested in, they're creative in nature. So I'll give you an example. There's a company in London we invested in called Unplugged. And basically during the pandemic, they come up with this idea of digital detox cabins. So they built these beautiful, purpose-built, floor-to-ceiling window, one-room cabins outside of London for people that need to just get away from it all. Part of the deal is you have to put your fucking cell phone, you have to put your iPhone in a glass case, you lock it, and you book your Unplugged for 2 days. They give you a Nokia, so if you got an emergency, you can but you're on the analog phone, right? It's unplugged.res. What a great idea. And they've blown up. They went from 1 cabin to 3, now they're at 10. You know, they're gonna be a 2 million ARR next year, and it's just like this real small insight. We need to get the fuck away from life sometimes, especially these days.
So there's a need, and then you step in and you're like, there's a need.
That's it. You know, there's people, there's so many cool, and you know, creativity comes in different forms. You know, there's another company that James and I invested in called Pear Bio, right? This guy, Duleek, I met him 4 years ago. I think I introduced him to you a couple years ago. And what Duleek's idea was, so in cancer research, a lot of times when if a woman has metastatic breast cancer, one of the biggest issues with cancer is the cocktail of drugs that they give you to fight the cancer, right? Because they're just guessing. Like the oncologist is guessing. And they're giving you, you know, there's like 20, 30, 40 different cancer drugs. Right? They give you 3 or 4, and then they see if it works in a cycle, they call it, right? It's a guess. If it doesn't work, they give you another one, and then another one, and then another one. And you're losing time throughout that process, right? Duleek had this concept of what if we could take the cells from the tumor, put it on a chip, use machine learning and AI to basically project out from your cells what the exact cocktail of drugs would be that work for you. And they've done it. So it's literally, it's on a chip, they put your cells, they're in testing right now, but what a great idea. Check them out, called Pear Bio, right? It's scientific, it's deep tech, brilliant, very creative. Those are the type of people that we look for.
So,
you know?
So when you see a situation like that, when you see a need, then is there sort of like an internal age, like specific to you, an internal AJ map where you go, look, there's this need, it looks like they have come this far, like real quick, and then we're gonna move on to show.
Yeah, I mean, when people come to us, when you're investing that early, there's no revenue. There's no revenue.
There's a lot of faith.
It's all faith. It's a sketchbook. It's somebody with an idea. So you're looking at a founder's eyes, and you're basically saying, can this person, will they go the distance, right? Not be successful, but will they go through the walls that you have to go through in order to make any endeavor successful, you know? So, and that's what we're looking for. You know, you're looking, it's literally about that founding team. You're looking in their eyes and saying, and a lot of times we know the first time's not gonna work out, right? I mean, entrepreneurship and when you start, everybody in this fucking room knows that. You start, but it may not be the first rodeo. A lot of times our founders, the first company fails. But the second and third, we're their first check-in because you're believing in that individual, you know? So yeah, that's kind of...
You're glad they had that first failure before they met you.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, sometimes, I mean, you know, a lot of it as an investor, especially, you know, early stage, you're burning through cash, but it's not, you know, when early stage, it's about the inception of the idea and going on a journey with a founder, you know, and you're looking for people, and James and I are the same this way, like, we don't like, you know, one and done, we like lifelong relationships. Mm-hmm. So if this company fails, hit us up for the next one, no problem, we'll be there the next time. We've worked with founders through 2 or 3 exits, you know. So anyways,
awesome.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're gonna give it to Chef. So, Chef, Sherman, is one of the top chefs in this fair city.
Lord.
To the point where he
Bless you, sir.
where he was drug across the Atlantic to cook you in France. Sorry, man, but you got to eat his. I mean, it's really good. Okay, so this might be the most fun one. I mean, cooking is just so freaking creative. We could go a million different directions. Enough of me saying words. Chef, take it away. Talk about your approach, and talk about something that makes me hungry for later. Okay,
All right,
go. You got a few minutes, please.
I'll quickly just inform Dave. So I've been cooking for 30 years, and I'll get into the creative process and the way I go about cooking and food in a moment. But what Dave doesn't know is actually I'm in tech as well, and have built a couple of, or one business that's going well, and another one that we're just getting started. So founder of CandidateCollective.com, and also of Pearls, which is a private chef subscription service, which I've come up with over the past 5-6 years. So, we can talk later. Anyhow, so as far as food goes, yeah, I love to go to the market and find what's beautiful and fresh, and treat it as if it's speaking to me and telling me what needs to happen now, right? So I've gotten to that point with my food and cooking where it's really about the product entirely, and I'm just listening to what it has to say and going from there. And I think that leans towards a lot of other types of creativity. In fact, when Billy was talking about creativity, I thought, geez, what's my definition of creativity? And I thought, really, being at peace is the most important part about it. No matter what you're doing, if you want to be creative, you've got to go toward what makes you feel peaceful, and that's all I'm going to say. Actually,
and why? And why is that necessary? Unpack.
Because if you're not at peace, you can't be. It's hard to be creative if you're not at peace.
How do you get a clear mind?
You must have a clear mind. You must be at peace with yourself and what where your life is and what you're doing and what you plan to do. If you're not in a peaceful place, it's impossible to be creative. So
the first time we met, we'd never met before. We're on the lawn of the Grand Hotel in Cannes, and almost immediately you started taking care of me, and a friend of mine brought a uke, and we started singing songs together. There's a hell of a baritone, I have to say.
Oh yeah.
No, but that's incredible. Okay, so now, James, I'm going to make your task, because we've done so many panels together over the years, and usually it focuses on media and film and things like that. We talked about tech, obviously cooking. I'm going to hit you with maybe the most difficult subject, and it's not going to be, so it's going to be politics, but here's the thing, we're not taking political stances, it's not about division, but I'm talking about the creativity of working within the systems. Is everybody clear on that? So we're not stirring the waters, we're talking about the process of being inside the beast that is politics. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because he was in the Obama administration. So, please. I give you the toughest one. I'm sorry.
That really was the toughest one. So it is great to be here. Thank you, Maxim, for inviting me. 2 seconds, I'm James Cole Jr. The most important job I have in the world is taking care of my 5-year-old. He turned 5 today. And so that's the most important thing. He is the love of my life. Just amazing. I wish I could have brought him. So I served in the Obama administration for 5 years, and I ended as the Deputy Secretary of Education. It's interesting to talk just a second about how I got there, which I was never in politics. I didn't give a whole lot of money. It was kind of weird. It's like the White House calls and they're like, "This is the White House, is this James Cole?" And I'm like, "Well, I think you got the wrong James Cole." That really is how it was. I was a Wall Street lawyer. And this was back when Occupy Wall Street, it was a nasty thing to make over $2 a year and that kind of thing. And I was like, I am like the exact opposite of what you say you want, right? And I was doing deals and mergers and acquisitions and things of that nature. And the White House approached hiring people the same way private industry does. Like, they have something within the White House called Presidential Personnel Office, and their job is to go out and find and recruit people in. You usually think that they have the people who gave the president money and that kind of thing, but they really ran it like a search firm. And they found me. So fast forward, and it took, they first approached me in 2009. I didn't join the administration until 2011 because I always had some big deal to do or something important. I couldn't leave my clients. And so finally, I went in 2011. What's interesting is it was a very interesting time, and AJ, I wasn't going to say this in public, but I guess I'm going to say it.
Yeah,
So because you guys know that I worked for Obama, I'm a Democrat, AJ often jokes that I'm really a Republican, and people just don't know it. And when you talk about working on the inside, I think if you think about what is the common purpose, what do we all want to do? And as politicized and polarized as how to make this country better has become, there are still things we want to do together. And I think the most important way when you're working on the inside is to try and find out what your common ground is, or at least that's the way I approached it. It was really interesting because whenever there was really a partisan issue, I was often the guy they called. And it was because about 50% of the Democrats loved me and 50% of the Democrats hated me. 50% of the Republicans loved me and 50% of the Republicans hated me. And in the middle, we would create this amazing group of people who had never really worked together before to do wonderful things for the country. And so I think that the question becomes, without thinking about constituents or headlines or news, to really think about what do we want to do and how can we move the country forward? And it's often in an incremental basis. You know, we go through election cycles and we want someone that's going to completely do something very different than what's going on, and that's just really hard to do. And so the question becomes is, how can we make incremental change to make everyone just a little bit better? So that's how I start.
That's awesome. All right, yeah, I just feel like there should be some applause. All right, we have a few minutes left. Questions? Oh, but I will say this. So he was kind enough to do the political thing again. About the process, let's not make this a big partisan thing if you do ask him a question. Okay, all right, so having said that, questions? Really? We've got these amazing people. Some of us, there we go.
For the chef,
The chef.
what are some of your favorite meals to make? Slash, how did you come up
The
with
old
the name?
question.
I know, or let's do another one. How about, how did you
Yeah.
come up with Pearl and why did you decide on the name Pearl?
Okay. Well, I'll say that anything braised is an impressor because people just don't know how to do that very well. So there's that. Or anything really slow cooked, risotto, that kind of thing. But pearls, my partner, Dominique, she was wearing pearls at the time and we were just sitting there talking about the concept and, P-A-E-R-L-S because pearls was taken.
Aha. And is it available now?
We're building the site still. It's
Okay.
coming on soon.
So we're hearing it here first.
You could reach out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, sir.
For Mr. Clarke, does Soundpark also invest in the development of video games?
Actually, we are developing a game called Hip Hop Galaxy, where each planet represents an era of hip hop. And we're currently signing on artists, real artists, to occupy the space in this Web3 game, where you can enter as a artist, or you can enter as a fan, you evolve as an artist, or you evolve as a manager, promoter, fan, super fan. So yes.
Awesome. All right, can we squeeze one more in? Just one more? Okay. Billy.
Oh, I think that lady should go.
Oh, go ahead. All right, one more. Okay, here we go.
So,
I heard you said being at peace was important to creativity. You talked about empathy. So what are you two saying? What do you want to enhance for creativity?
No, that's a great question, and I was nodding like prophetically when he was saying. I was going to say you need to create a safe space, which I think is pretty similar to saying you need to be at peace. And that safe space can be whatever you want it to be. It can be a physical place, it can be a mental place, but you have to create a safe space where you can think clearly, and it can be in the middle of chaos all around you, right? Like life is or my life is pretty chaotic. The 5-year-old helps with that. But creating a place where I often think of what was my favorite vacation, and I'll sit down and I'll close my eyes and I'll hear the water coming in, I'll hear the party, I'll hear whatever's going on, and then my mind kind of releases. Or even when I was in government and we'd have some major thing, I was in office when the Chevy vote, I don't know if you guys remember, you hit the back of it, explodes. And I was in office during the congressional hearings where we fought over, do we show the American people the pictures of people, of everything that's going on? And wild battles, and everything that's going on, and I sat down and I thought about growing up very poor on the south side of Chicago and having food stamps, and they cut off the lights and they cut off the gas. And then peace would overwhelm me, because I'd say, as hard as it is right now, I have all these tools to solve, all these tools to be creative about how we can move forward, because I would actually go to a place that was kind of chaotic and think about how blessed I feel now, and nothing going on today rivals what was going on back in the 80s.
All right, let's give them a hand, guys. Thank you so much.